how sweet it is to be loved by you nerds. What is up? It's me, your buddy pal HeyArcher. Welcome back to HeyArcher Live here on Nerd Affiliated. So happy to have all of you here with me tonight on this lovely Thursday evening. Ooh, I'm running low. I gotta get a refill at some point this weekend, or else we'll be suffering next week on the show. This is your weekly Thursday night nerdy talk show where we sit back and relax. I said we sit back and relax. And hopefully by now you've poured yourself just a little bit of,
more specifically, vodka, whiskey, beer, tequila, more beer, more vodka, more whiskey, and more beer.
as we cruise into the weekend. Fun show in store today. We're talking Wonder Man, some Star Wars rankings dropped. We'll talk toys, a whole bunch of stuff. But of course, if you have a YouTube channel, podcast, blog, OnlyFans, newsletter, or smoke signals, whatever it may be, put it in the chat, support one another, plug yo shit. Like I said, it's gonna be a good time. If you guys have things you want to talk about, of course, let me know. Don't know why the camera is like acting weird today. It worked fine the other day. No consistency here with the camera, but it's fine. It's fine. We'll get through it. But like I said, if you have things you guys want to talk about, of course, let me know. I don't have too much to update on the 3D printing stuff, but I'll cover that as well. And yeah, it'll be a good time. I keep getting these Robinhood notifications about Bitcoin freaking bombing, but hey, what can you do? And of course, without further ado, we'll bring in the man, the myth, the legend. It is me. It is me. I am the problem. It is me. Where'd you guys go? There you go. Why did I hide you guys last week? Oh, I had Henry on last week. That's right. I was like, why did I hide the chat last week? That's what it was. We had a special guest. Let me see. Is this one better at all? No, it's not. So we're going back to this one. Oh, Ecamm Live. Although sometimes I wonder if it's Ecamm that's a problem or if it's the camera that's a problem. I don't know. But first, let's meet our contestants. Behind curtain number 1, we have the shameless plugs of nerdaffiliated.com, your one-stop shop for all things nerd affiliated. Whether it's links to the latest live stream, the latest clip, the latest Daily Planet, you can find that over at nerdaffiliated.com. But if you want to support the channel even more, I lost the button. The button works. You can pick up some sweet merch over at nerdaffiliated.com. If you want to get in contact with us in more real time, there's, of course, Nerd Affiliated on Instagram. If you're into the Ghostbuster side of things, there is therealnerdbusters.com, but also The Real Nerdbusters on Instagram, where you can send us a DM, check out the latest and greatest things that we have going on. I'm excited for Anthony. I'm always excited for Anthony, but tomorrow, allegedly, his Batman Returns hot toy is arriving, which I believe is his first hot toy. Let me know if I'm wrong, Anthony, if you jump into the chat. I think it's your first hot toy. I think. I could be wrong. Let me know. Let's say hi to everybody in the chat. Of course, we have Tony in the house. Good to see ya. You're doing well. Got Ultra Carter in the house. Good to see ya. We got Dada Films in the house. Whoops, I hit the cable there. Good to see ya. Let me move this out the way. Move, cable. Get out the way. Rick James. Got Dave Dimension in the house. Dave's Dimension in the house. Good to see ya. Everybody saying hi to each other. I love that. I love that. We got Steve in the house. Sal Jepas and nerd content. What's up? Sal Jepapas? Sal Jepapas? Sal Jepapas? What's Sal Jepapas? I'm struggling on that one. Stream for the Cure. That's right. 2026. Make sure you follow Dave's Dimension for that. It is his annual live stream to raise money for Ride for Roswell, which is there's a cancer research center up there in Roswell, New York, right? Or is it called Roswell? But I think it's a town called Roswell. And Dave does a bike ride every year and raises money for that. So stay tuned for that. Make sure you stop by that stream. There's always lots of fun giveaways, good time for all, and of course, raising money for a great cause. So yeah, good times by all. So yeah, let's get the show on the road. Did I do a post about this? I did not. So I'm just going to pull this up. And let's go to salchichas in French fries. I don't know what salchichas is. I'm struggling. I could always look it up, but it's more fun to try to guess, right? Let me see if I can type it in and pull it up. Let's see. Salchichas. The Vienna sausages. So I almost said sausages. Yeah. You just eating those with French fries? All right. I don't remember. I'm trying to remember what my mom used to call them. I don't think she called it that. I think she was just like, maybe she did say that. We're having rice and salchichas. So in our household, right? And I don't know if it's different based on the kind of Spanish you are or Latino that you are. But in our household, a Puerto Rican, Panamanian household, but the food was primarily Puerto Rican. This used to be chopped up and thrown into rice, into yellow rice. And then you still had another protein with it, usually. I think maybe sometimes we did this in rice with plátanos as well. Sweet, not tostones. But yeah, I don't think I've ever had it with just French fries. Is it like on the plate and then there's just ketchup on it? Is that what we're doing? How's it being served? Ultra Carter with his Spanish. Look at that. He knew. Now you guys are making me hungry for deluxe hot dogs filled with nacho cheese, shredded bacon, and Doritos. Wait, the hot dogs are filled with the nacho cheese, the bacon, and the Doritos? And then you have it like on a bun? Is that what's happening there? Is this a sausage party? I did. You might be delayed. Unless I'm really delayed. It's possible I'm really delayed. I think I did change that setting. That's funny. All right, let's head over to Instagram because I want to talk about Wonder Man. I do want to talk about Wonder Man. So you may remember, you may not remember. Oh, interesting. I've been talking highly of the show. I've been talking highly of Wonder Man. And even on today's episode of Daily Planet, I actually big upped Wonder Man as well. Currently watching it. I am on episode 6, I believe. The last episode I watched was The Doorman. Was the last one I watched. And I rode high coming off of episode 1. We got to the Doorman episode, and it was good. I still have the show down as a watch. I get to episode 6, and I'm kind of losing steam. And it may not be for the same reasons that you would assume, that other people may lose steam if they're even talking badly about it. What I will say is refreshing is I've also kind of purged my algorithm over the last year, but I'm not seeing a lot of negativity around Wonder Man. So it's mostly positive reactions and comments and all that stuff. So I don't know what the naysayers are saying in particular. However, I will give my naysayer points at the moment. Sorry. I thought I was going to burp, so I muted and then I did not burp. I got ready for it. I was like, and it didn't happen. So I'll get a naysayer kind of take out there on the show. So episode 1, if you remember, my reaction was amazing acting. I love the concept of the story, and I like that it's different than everything else we've been getting with Marvel. Upon completing the Doorman and getting to episode 6, following today's Daily Planet episode, I was like, all right, the actors are really good here, but I feel like I'm really starting to lose steam on this storyline. I feel like it's not really going anywhere. Start watching today's episode, which is, they're all out, but the one I'm up to. And I just lost it. And I think where I'm at is that this show should have been like a 3-parter movie, which I think we've said before about some other Disney Plus releases, but I'm feeling that on this one. I'm really feeling it on this one. And I kind of want to skip episodes, to be honest, just to get to the end, to get to whatever scene this is, because I've not reached that scene yet. But the one thing that's annoying me, I would say, is our 2 leads. I'm forgetting how to pronounce his name, of course, the guy who's playing Wonder Man. But we also have Sir Ben Kingsley, aka the Mandarin, on the show. No spoilers, by the way. I feel like they're too good for the script, and I feel like they're too good for the show. I find myself being taken out of the episodes because I'm like, why are you guys here? Now, talking about Ben Kingsley, Sir Ben Kingsley, I'm like, all right, first of all, the wig's really starting to get to me. Second of all, why are you here? You're almost like too good for this. 3, I feel like his character is kind of pointless. I feel like the character, the role of, again, no spoilers, the role of established actor with younger actor trying to help younger actor. I understand that concept and, classic storyline of mentor and protege, right? Tales all this time. King Arthur and Merlin. But I'm like, I don't feel like they're really that. To me, if you swapped out the Mandarin for a no-name older black actor who's like, oh, I'm going to show you the ropes on getting through Hollywood, that would make almost more sense. But Ben Kingsley doing it, and again, I'm not going to spoil anything. There's a couple things I do want to say that would probably help my case, but Ben Kingsley being in that role and trying to help him doesn't quite line up for me. And I feel like we're wasting Ben Kingsley in this show. So in a way, it's a weird criticism to have that I feel like the people on the show are way better than the show, or way better than the script, or not being used properly. I don't think it's a bad story. I don't think it's badly written or anything. I just think it's boring because I feel like they were like, damn, we got like 4 episodes worth of stuff, but we got to make it 8, throw in some filler. The filler episode was good. I'll give you that. But the fact that once I got past the filler episode, I rolled into another filler episode. I was like, what are we doing? And it actually reminded me of She-Hulk. Because She-Hulk, we had a bunch of episodes that were thrown in there and all we wanted was Daredevil. And we're like, where's the Daredevil episode? And then we get a trailer that teases Daredevil. The next week comes, no Daredevil. You're like, so I feel like with the show, there's a lot of filler happening for the sake of giving us 8 episodes. Considering they were going to drop them all in one shot, which I don't know when that decision was made, but considering you got them all in one shot, I feel like there's no need to make them 8 episodes. I feel like you could have easily just done 4, 3, called it a day. And the Ben Kingsley character, which I forgot we saw him in Shang-Chi. I don't think he needed to be in Shang-Chi either. Didn't need to be here. Do I want Ben Kingsley in the MCU? Sure. Because he's a good actor. He's a great actor. But I just feel like it's I feel like I don't know what they're going for with him. I don't know if Marvel knows what they're doing with this version of the Mandarin. You know, he's not the Mandarin, but I'm just going to keep calling him that just for the sake of argument. So I don't know. I'm going to try to finish it tomorrow if I can. I've been doing 1 episode a day. So I'm going to try to just let it play in the background tomorrow while I'm doing work and see if there's anything that kind of grabs my attention. I did like one of the, I saw a meme online of somebody pretending like, hey, they're pretending like they're an Avenger and they're like, hey man, like where were you for X, Y, and Z? And he's like, I wanted to go, but like I was going for a role, But then all the comments were like, you can't even use that argument because like every MCU character in New York City did not show up for any of the Avengers stuff. And it's like, why would he show up? He's out in LA. So, let's check the comments. Did you say bacon? Yeah. No, I would dip the hot dog into nacho cheese and sprinkle on some shredded bacon and crunch up Doritos on it. Ooh, still good. Dormant episode. Wasn't necessary. It slowed things down for me personally. Yeah. 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 It almost gave us, and it sounds weird, it gave us unnecessary backstory to a plot point we didn't need. And I'll say what the thing is because it's in the trailer. They say that they want somebody to play the character of Wonder Man. They don't want anybody with superpowers. And then the Dormant episode explains why that rule exists. The funny thing I think they're trying to do is make fun of the trope in Hollywood where they're like all the leading black actors that play like hood characters are actually like English characters with English accents that are putting on a fake American accent. And Idris Elba has the famous story of when he went for The Wire, they actually said it in the reading to the team said it to the agents. We don't want any English actors showing up to do a read. And he showed up, did the read, pretended like he wasn't English, lied about where he was from, and then eventually they figured out he was from English. But at that point, he was so good they kept him. So I think that's what they're making fun of. But it's like doing a whole episode as to why they have the rule. I was like, cool, but yeah, didn't need it. The fake Mandarin, yeah. They were going to go do separate series for Trevor, but decided to fold them into one series. Okay, that makes sense. Thinking of Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness existing with the America Chavez story, where America Chavez was supposed to be in the Spider-Man movie, thought she would have been overshadowed, so they put her in the Doctor Strange movie, was still kind of overshadowed and ended up being pointless. So they're notorious for that. I think they had 5 strong episodes. The 3 were so-so. Okay. Yeah. I feel like they don't really know what they're doing with both characters of Wonder Man and Ben's character, Ben Kingsley. Yeah. Okay, so at least I'm not alone on that one. It's definitely not the worst Marvel TV show. I think all the comments about the greatest Marvel show ever is like, that's a stretch. I don't think that the highest rated thing is a lie, because there's probably not as many people watching it, and there's definitely not as many people hate watching it like we have with some other stuff. But I think if they continue on, I agree with the first comment. It should be a movie or a multi-part movie as opposed to a whole season. I think he kills it in the show. Again, I butcher his name every time. I think he kills it. I think he's a great actor. In fact, I enjoyed him in Aquaman 2. Aquaman 2 is a nice, fun, like, background movie to put on. But I feel like they're both being wasted in this TV show. But hey, get that paycheck. And he's a relatable character. I'll give him that. He has some relatable attributes. So yeah, that's what we got on Wonder Man. Now, next up, we're gonna stay on Disney. I want to talk about this. StarWars.com released a list. Not in order, but they released a list. This comes from Paige Lehman, and it is titled Ignited Sabers, some of the best lightsaber duels across the galaxy. From the original trilogy to animation, the Jedi and the Sith wield their lightsabers in some of the most unforgettable battles in cinematic history. So this dropped. I'm going to give my dig at Star Wars real quick and say, didn't know you still had StarWars.com, because I'm not sure what people go to StarWars.com for if you're older than 16. But hey, it's still out there. Makes sense that you have it. But yeah, they dropped this list, and of course they opened up with Empire Strikes Back. Now, I want to scroll through this list, but I think somebody else is going to do a better job at scrolling through this list, and that is Star Wars Theory. He's, in fact, the reason why I know this list even exists. Now, personally, I feel like I've been quite obsessed with Star Wars Theory lately, and I promise you it's not because I'm a super fan. It's more of just like, all right, bro, I get it. Can we move on? But it turns out, because there's not that much to talk about in Star Wars, you kind of just got to do your thing. Or in his case, he's got to do his thing. So let's watch his reaction. I will add some commentary to it. I want to see who you agree with. I do want to see, do you agree more with maybe my take on this, his take, mixture of both? Let's proceed to give you what you need.
So right off the bat, not to make this even, you'd have to watch the whole thing. They did not include Anakin versus Obi-Wan, but they included some Acolyte fight scene. They included Rogue One, Darth Vader in the hallway. Let's get into it. Now, before we begin, I do want to say that everyone is entitled to their opinions. Now, if this was just a tweet of a Star Wars fan, or if this was just an article that was written by one of those shill article sites, yeah, absolutely. Like, who cares? But this is the official.
At one point, are we going to acknowledge that you can have kind of like the reverse of a shill? Like, I'm going to make it political for a second. I was watching Ted Cruz the other day, who is a senator out of Texas, drill the owner of Netflix drilling the CEO of Netflix, and I believe the CEO of Warner Brothers, and was drilling him about CNN. And it was like, don't you think CNN is not down the middle or anything? Like, they're super political and they only give one perspective, blah, blah, blah. And I want to be like, bro, we could easily throw this right back at you and say, don't you think that Fox is the same way? Like, whenever we say shill and like the woke heart or whatever, like that whole bundle of joy, whenever we throw that at somebody, I'm like, do we not understand that there's also the reverse? Somebody who is only anti blank. Had to get that thought out there.
Official Star Wars webpage, and I would expect them to really highlight what I would think would be the best fight scene in movie history, not even just in, Star Wars history or in lightsaber fights, especially if.
Now, sorry to pause one more time. What do you think is the best Star Wars lightsaber fight? Remember, movie, TV show, animation. What do you think is the best one? To you.
If you're going to put in, the Acolyte or, Rey and Finn versus Kylo Ren or, Darth Vader versus Rebels, for example. But let's get into it with a bit of a cool mind and kind of assess the situation and kind of dive into the lore a little bit of the fight scenes where applicable.
I think we're going to go with you guys.
That's great.
I really gotta add this account to my my YouTube. I was gonna say YouTube Red, but it's premium now. You guys remember when it used to be called YouTube Red and everybody was like, but isn't that kind of like, anyway.
So, okay, first off, we got Luke versus Darth Vader. Absolutely iconic. Episode 5 is, probably the best Star Wars movie out there, I would say, among the masses. For me, episode 3, and then I dilly-dally on episode 6 or 5, kind of depending on my mood. But yeah, arguably this is a beautiful fight scene. I wouldn't say choreographed well at all. And for the reason for that is, of course, Nick Gillard wasn't working on those as he was on the prequels. And also, it was a different time, right? Fight scenes were done differently. They were shot differently. The idea was to have much more of a slower sort of pace. And if you want to go in canon, in the universe and not worry about how it was filmed, then we look at how Darth Vader never was actually trying to kill Luke, ever. He was never trying to kill his son. And I see this argument a lot. It's like, well, Luke beat Darth Vader. Well, no, not really. Vader was never trying to kill his son. He was maybe trying to maim him. He was maybe trying to, hurt him, but he was never trying to actually kill him. First of all, Anakin wouldn't let him. That little bit of Anakin that was alive wouldn't let him. And second of all, he was always trying to turn Luke. He was trying to beat him down until he could get Luke to stop fighting and then get in his head and convince him to join him in the dark side and defeat the Emperor. First of all, he was trying to freeze him in carbonite, okay, and then that didn't work. So then, tried the other option, was taking his hand. And then in Return of the Jedi, his guard was always down. He was always toying with Luke, and he was just talking through the whole fight, trying to turn him. So those fight scenes from a choreographed perspective, of course, not nearly what they were for Anakin versus Obi-Wan or Obi-Wan versus Grievous or, Yoda versus Dooku, things like that. But from a story standpoint, extremely powerful, extremely well done.
So there's a lot here that there are lines in the sand that are drawn based on your age in Star Wars. First of all, classic saying, nobody hates Star Wars more than a Star Wars fan. But there has been a definitive line in the sand as to what's your Star Wars. And with a lot of the new creators do not understand, even though they are in real time demonstrating this, is that we now have two lines in the sand. Either you came in on the OT, you came in on the prequels, or you came in on the sequels. Now, unfortunately, the sequel kids aren't quite old enough to run YouTube channels and talk about how awesome those lightsaber fights are. But the prequel kids are. They're old enough to make the content now and are successful at making the content, right? Now, as somebody who used to watch all Star Wars Theory and Eckhart's Ladder, a whole bunch of people, I can understand how we, in turn, as fans, created the backstory as to how the New Hope lightsaber fight made sense, this lightsaber fight made sense, and Return of the Jedi lightsaber fight made sense. We found a way to make those three fights make sense in the larger story and universe, where you had the fight scenes of like, Revenge of the Sith, Clone Wars, Phantom Menace, right? And those are all the points that he listed. But these fight scenes didn't suck because they just were like, let's just be boring. Let's be lame with these. When, we have the ability to do a Phantom Menace, but we're going to go slow and steady because of X reason. And that's always when you can tell, not just the bias, but that you're a prequel kid. It's always to me the sign that you're a prequel kid, or even a sequel kid, that you're like, that lightsaber fight's too slow. It's boring. It's just, the choreography is just not there. And I actually, let me see if I can pull these up. I saved 2 videos and I should have had them queued up and I didn't, so I apologize. But I want to play two clips here. What's up, Madison?
I took karate, kendo, and did a little bit of weight training. They sort of want to mix that martial arts flavor in with the traditional foil fencing.
That's good. All right.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, we have to rest now.
Okay. Okay. All right.
I can't talk now. I'm out of breath.
He's becoming better than Errol Flynn.
What do you mean by difficult?
Let's play the second one.
The Empire Strikes Back, it's such a physical ordeal for my character, and I eventually, as we saw in the little film clip, confront the Dark Lord. And I have to look like an expert swordsman, which I'm not. So for 4.5 months before we started filming, I started 5 days a week with karate, kendo, which is Japanese sword play. I did some weightlifting, and I took fencing. But I have to, give credit where credit's due, and the British stuntmen, Peter Diamond, Colin Skeeping, and Bob Anderson did a fantastic job, because they couldn't double me, really. I mean, Darth Vader has a helmet on, so they were able to use, an Olympic fencing champion. But they're the ones that really make you look good.
So this is going to be trippy for some of the prequel kids to see Mark Hamill talk about anything that may be counter to what they would believe or think. When the OT was created, the concept of a lightsaber, the Force, what that combat looks like, did not mirror what eventually became. Back then, lightsaber dueling was meant to be more like kendo, like old school King Arthur sword fighting. Like right now we have in Star Wars created the additional lore that a lightsaber itself is super light if you are 100% connected to the kyber crystal. And if you're not, it can cause it to be freaking heavy as crap, like a Thor's hammer type of relationship. We actually saw that in Rebels when Sabine was learning how to use the Darksaber. And she's like, oh, it's so heavy, blah, blah, blah. And Kanan's talking to her through it. Like you have to trust the crystal, trust the Force, become one with the crystal. All of that is brand effing new. It is brand new. That's not what this was. When they did this, lightsabers were supposed to be heavy, bulky, take a lot of skill. You're trying not to cut yourself and trying not to, do something stupid with it. It was completely different. So to ever compare this to the prequel stuff and say this is boring compared to the prequel stuff because of blank, to me is always a stupid argument, because the rules of the road were not the same then and in the prequel trilogy. And in fact, when they created the sequel trilogy, when you watch a lot of the behind the scenes stuff, like them or hate them, they were trying to go back to this way of thinking. And that's why Kylo not only has more of that long sword, but the way that he fights is more of like it being a long, heavy sword, as opposed to he can one-arm fence it. And you'll notice that whenever Kylo swings the saber, it's always like he's really got to wind it up. Because they were trying to get back to that idea. Not that a lightsaber is as easy to wield as this freaking razor. That's the thought that was going into Star Wars back then. That did not go into the prequels. And it's a hard concept a lot of times for these guys to fathom. Continuing on.
And still to this day hold tons of weight. So yeah, fantastic choice. Anakin versus Barriss in the Clone Wars, awesome fight. This is when Anakin finally found out that she was betraying Ahsoka, and he fought her. And it was a very fast-paced fight scene that didn't just take place in one room. You know, it spanned kind of the whole Jedi Temple, you know, inside, outside, and it was definitely a spectacle to watch. Now, also, I'm curious as to why they didn't add in Sidious versus Savage and Maul, which was, I would say, probably the most badass animated fight that we've seen.
I will agree with that take, actually. And I've talked about that scene umpteenth times. I think that battle, Sidious versus Maul and Asajj, maybe close to that one, I would say. So that would be my number one. But then depending on the day, I might give you Asajj and Maul versus Obi-Wan. And, sorry, not Asajj. Sorry. Savage. Maul and Savage versus Asajj Ventress and Obi-Wan. Or the other one that's a lot shorter, but I thought was really strong, Obi-Wan and Anakin versus Dooku. Very good fight. But the other day, I messaged General Kenobi, and I actually was telling him how Kit Fisto versus Grievous is really good as well. I think that's in season 1.
Especially considering the little synopsis here shows that Emperor Palpatine is definitely up there, but they failed to actually put in Yoda versus Palpatine.
Because it sucked.
And I hold this to a bit of a nitpicking standpoint because it is StarWars.com, you know, and it's like they need to really start respecting all of the stuff that George made and kind of look at, you know, let's not just, and this is what kind of bugs me about this article, is that I don't think they're doing this in good faith. I don't think they're doing this in like, oh yeah, these are the best. I think they're doing it in a sense of, let's pick and choose lightsaber fights from different fandoms within Star Wars who like the original trilogy. Oh, let's throw one in there of an iconic fight. Let's throw one in from the prequels, when arguably every single fight from the first 6 films that George made should be up there. But if we want to rank the best, the prequels undoubtedly have to be in there. You have to have Anakin versus Obi-Wan. The fact that it didn't make this list, but, you know, The Acolyte did, just shows me that they're really just pushing to want to be inclusive with their ideas. And I don't mean that in any sort of political sense whatsoever. I'm sick at the idea that everything now is so politicized and anything that you say has to be spun in some political angle.
Oh no, I'm not brave enough for politics.
No, they're just trying to adhere to every single type of person in the Star Wars fandom now that Disney has it, and kind of say, hey, here's one from this show and that show and this show. But not really a, I would say, proper analysis of the best Star Wars.
All right. Like, we must be sleep deprived on this one, that we are making a point, but then giving an exact reason why that point doesn't make sense. It's not a definitive list. This is not the definitive top 10 fights, in our opinion, in order. He's already said that. It says it at the top, and he said that. 2, what is wrong with picking a fight from every single fandom? hey guys, here is a not top 10, but here's a list of 10 lightsaber fights from 10 different shows, 10 different series, 10 different movie series that we think you should check out. By the way, StarWars.com, you should have a link to each fight scene on your YouTube channel. I don't know why I don't think that exists. I could easily look it up, but it's more fun to speculate. The Star Wars YouTube channel needs to have each fight scene as its own, as a supercut, without the filler stuff on the YouTube channel. Nonetheless, what is wrong with that? What is wrong with making a list that has like one from everything? Because maybe there's somebody who didn't like the Phantom Menace. They only like the OT. But this is on the same list. Why don't I check that fight out? If it was a clickable link, that'd be better. I'm giving you tips here, StarWars.com. But I'm like, you're making the point, but then you're literally giving a reason why the point doesn't matter.
Fight scenes, which is arguably what this article is all about. Some of the best lightsaber duels across the galaxy. Well, if some of the best, then you need to be putting in arguably the best, such as Obi-Wan and Anakin, which you didn't. Obi-Wan and Grievous, or anything with Palpatine or Yoda. You didn't. So anyway,
whatever.
As we go down the list here, we go, Anakin and Barriss, the twins, Star Wars Visions. I mean, no one's going to argue that any of these fights weren't interesting or entertaining in some aspect. When you throw a lightsaber in anyone's hands, even in a fan film, people are going to watch because lightsabers just have that magnetic pull, and they are arguably the coolest weapon in movie history, I would say. Shout out to Roger Christian for creating the very first one, and shout out to Nick Gillard for showing us what lightsaber fighting can actually look like at its peak.
These meals changed everything for me. I'll admit.
As we get through the ad, am I like bugging on this one? Like, am I tripping? Am I tripping?
It has not been replicated at all. The next is Ahsoka vs. Baylan Skoll. This fight scene, in my opinion, was okay. There was nothing special about it. A lot of people might argue, oh, well, Baylan is a big character. He's a big guy. Rest in peace, Stevenson. But you can do so much more. I mean, look at Grievous, for example. Yes, besides his spinning arms, but he was moving fast. He was moving quick. Yes, he's a cyborg, but you can still move fast. Can do character. He's a big guy. Rest in peace, Stevenson. But you can about it. A lot of people might argue Stevenson, but Baylan is a big character. He's a big guy. Rest in peace, Stevenson. But you can do so much more. I mean, look at Grievous, for example. Yes, besides his spinning arms, but he was moving fast. He was moving quick. Yes, he's a cyborg, but you can still move fast when you have the Force. And so I think that was something that the choreographer for Ahsoka, for Acolyte, really was not up to par. And this is not to glaze Nick. He has all of his accolades. People glaze him enough on the internet.
It's glazing. Come on. Come on. Just because it's not your version. It does not make it a bad thing. Because they didn't invite your boy back, it doesn't make it a bad thing. It doesn't. Of that series, that was a good lightsaber fight. We were all waiting for it. And I don't shy away from the fact that I didn't like the show at all. I don't know if I can go as far as saying I hated the show at this point. I mean, that's not true. I did hate the show a lot when I first watched it. But in my current state, I don't hate it. It ain't good. It's not a good show. But I do remember like really waiting for this fight to happen because we really wanted to see Baylan fight somebody with a lightsaber. And we knew it was going to be Ahsoka. And it was fine. Remember, they even designed Baylan to be more medieval, more longsword. That was his style. His style very much a predecessor to like a Kylo style. Like, if we jump off the nutsack of Nick Gillard for a second and just look at any video where they explain the dueling of a show, we could see where they were coming from in the choreography for the show. The same way in Rebels, the lightsaber is thinner because they were like, oh, we're paying homage to A New Hope, the way that the lightsabers looked in the original version that were really thin and more of a fencing intention. Super easy to look this stuff up. Super easy.
Internet. Him being my friend has nothing to do with this, but when you have fight scenes that look the way they do from the prequel trilogy, you have to stay on that sort of cadence, speed, fluidity as you are going from that timeline, right? So we don't want to be regressing to, let's say...
But you don't, because you also have the OT that exists. So you can't have like wild ass fights that used to happen, boring ass fights in the middle, wild ass fights at the end. Like it, that don't make sense.
The original trilogy choreography. We want to be continuing along that path, especially these are students from the prequel trilogy, from that era. So they're going to be fighting just like that, like all of those Jedi during that time.
They're also older.
That's how they trained them. So
they're also older.
The choreography in this scene was not anything spectacular.
No martial artist is as fast at 65 as they were at 15.
Anything like what I would have expected it to be, and that's just my opinion. This, of course, undoubtedly, they would be... If they didn't put in this fight scene, I mean, that would be a huge mistake. So I'm glad that they did, because this is arguably probably the best fight scene in all of the prequel trilogy. The Acolyte, the story was terrible, of course, but the fight scenes also, in my opinion, were really not that great. I think...
If anything, I would say the Acolyte gave him more of what he was looking for than the other stuff. I don't think this fight scene was that great, but the one I have the Stranger versus the Jedi is like in my top 3 at this point. Top 5. But if anything, that was what he's looking for. We even have dual wielding where the person's like doing the freaking spin move where it's like clash, clash, clash. Like you had that the Acolyte, if anything, gave him the closest to what he was looking for that he could get. We didn't even have stuff like you saw in freaking... What the hell is the one that we all hate? Last Jedi. You didn't get the Last Jedi thing where it's like, you start a swing, the person ducks in advance, and then you swing over their head. You didn't even get any of that in the Acolyte. So, like...
I think the whole Stranger versus all of the Jedi scene, it was entertaining, but it wasn't anything crazy or extremely amazing. It was entertaining, but it wasn't anything crazy or extremely amazing.
And you show the clip.
Amazing, like what it could have been. And that's not even coming from me having learned what I've learned from Nick's style of choreographing, shooting, and moving lightsabers, which is why the prequels looked as flashy as they did. A lot of people like the Acolyte, and a lot of people didn't like the Acolyte fight scenes. I wasn't a fan of them. I didn't really think they were anything special, and when they're coming from Leslie Headlands, I did. A lot of people like the Acolyte, and a lot of people didn't like the Acolyte fight scenes. I wasn't a fan of them. I didn't really think they were anything special, and when they're coming from...
Literally copycats, Revenge of the Sith hallway scene, Obi-Wan going in reverse, Anakin going at him. Literally copied it. He says it's trash. All right.
Leslie Headland.
Sorry.
I mean, it says it all.
Oh, not good.
Kanan Jarrus and Ezra Bridger versus Darth Vader. Yeah, sure. It was a fine fight scene, but nothing that jumps to my mind when I think of the top best lightsaber fights in Star Wars. This fight scene was cool. I did enjoy this fight scene. I thought it was pretty sweet. But again, to have this in place of any other fight scene from the prequel trilogy, I wonder why. Well, I don't wonder why. I know why they're doing it. Obi-Wan versus Darth Vader. This fight scene had some interesting force powers. I thought overall it was a little bit cheesy. I thought the fight
with that.
Could have been so much more, so much better, and so much more representative of the characters at this point in time. I thought they played it extremely safe, and I personally think
disagree with
the characters would have fought a little bit differently. I think Obi-Wan would have been way more cautious. I think Vader would have been much more full of rage, but at the same time cautious as well. You
No.
know? And
No.
it should have been sort of an in-between going into A New Hope. First of all, I don't even think they should have fought, but if they did, then I think it should have been a
Agreed.
little bit different than this. But
The points being made are almost as though the show didn't exist. Right? You guys know I liked the show when it came out. Was really excited week to week. The only episode I hated was that very episode. When Obi-Wan and Vader fight the first time, and Obi-Wan gets smoked, and they have the bullshit of fire blocks him, and I can't get past it. Like, it was annoying. It was super annoying. But for the point of the story at that line in the sand, I guess pun intended, Vader's like, oh, okay, I could smoke this guy. This guy is freaking a shell of what he used to be. He's a POS. Like this. You trained me. All right, dude, fine. You want to fight again? Let's go for it. That's where Vader was. So that's why Vader is not super aggressive, because he's like, dude, you fucking suck. You suck, old man. That's the Vader perspective going into this fight. And then for Obi-Wan, to me, I thought to me, when he lost the first time, if you go back to watch those videos, I don't even know if those were in lives or whatever they were, but if you go back and watch those videos, I said what sucks about Obi-Wan losing in their first battle is that in order to justify the New Hope battle, when Vader's very cautious, Obi-Wan's gonna have to smoke the shit out of him at the end of the show to justify the New Hope battle. That's like really like Vader's just like, it's also one of the only times I think Vader's like double-handed, freaking double fisting the saber, and he's just like, he's got to be like, not only are you going to beat me again, he's also got to be like, dude, what are you doing here? So yes, going into this fight, because of what they set up in the show, Obi-Wan has to come into this thing confident AF. Vader also needs to come in confident AF, and then quickly learn, oh shit, this isn't the same dude I just fought 2 episodes ago. That had to happen because of the events of the show. Go back and watch the show.
Still, nothing terrible to say about this fight. I just don't think that it should be in place of any of the prequels. This, I think, is a big
Prequels again
to put in there. I mean, Finn and Rey they had no business even touching a lightsaber. Yeah, Finn was a stormtrooper, so he had maybe some basic combat training. But to go up against Kylo Ren, the grand,
see how he swings it,
who has the Force, has the dark side, has the Skywalker blood in him, and
who also just got shot in the fucking stomach.
And then Rey, I just think that it's no. Why would you
shot in the stomach, shot in the leg?
Put that in there. If you're gonna put any fight from the sequel trilogy in there, I feel like you should put in what would be a better fight scene, which I don't actually think there is a better fight scene in the sequels. Is there? No. Yeah, so I guess they're just putting in stuff from different Star Wars shows and movies to just kind of show, hey, remember these?
Yeah,
they're not.
That's the point of the article.
Different parts.
Literally the point of the article.
How would it look if they just put all 6 films and their lightsaber?
Because you'd be mad they're not in the right order that you want them in.
Battles or battles from only the original trilogy and prequel trilogy. It would look, I guess, a little bit funny too, but that's the truth. It is the best. They could mix in the Clone Wars in there. I do think that the Maul, Savage, and Sidious fight scene was really well done. I do think that the Maul and Ahsoka fight scene was also really well done.
This digital calendar lightening my mental load.
All right. It's nobody hates Star Wars more than a Star Wars fan. It doesn't matter what they would have done with the list. Give us the list. It doesn't matter what they would have done with the list. Unless people who think like that make the list themselves, it will never be a good list. It'll never be a good list. It won't be a good list. And I get it, man. I get it. And hey, maybe I, in turn, after doing this whole rant for the last 30 minutes, maybe similar to him, I have made an argument and yet answered my own question upon doing my reaction. Maybe he did it as a rage bait. There's nothing else to talk about. So you know what? We're going to shit on Star Wars because that's going to give us numbers. And people love to, as a community, hate on Star Wars. But let's go to the comments. We had Man Collects in the house. Good to see you. Like I said, Matt was in the house. Good to see you. Craft Collects in the house. Good to see you. JB in the house. Good to see you. Where the sabers themselves felt heavier. Yeah. Like the Darth Saber and Mando. Yeah. I'm glad to know that we all watched Star Wars. If only Theory had watched it. Instead of light as a feather, the latest films felt like a good mix of the two. If only Theory had watched them. Yoda vs. Palpatine was yeah. I hate that fight scene. In fact, the Palpatine versus Yoda, I remember, first of all, I remember hating the movie when I saw it the first time. I never shy away from that take. But I remember one of my complaints in hating that movie was that Yoda didn't even lose. Yoda just kind of was like, I think we're good here. I'm going to head out. Like, go back and watch it. Yoda took, 2 bumps, to use a wrestling term, in that fight scene. And then at the second one, he was like, I'm good. And left. George could not write a better way for Yoda to be like, I'm out of here. Maybe he's outnumbered. Maybe, Obi-Wan's like, I need help. Like something. We couldn't think of anything else. Yoda literally fell, which we all have that running joke that falls don't kill Jedis, but Yoda literally fell and was like, I'm out of here. You want that on the list. And I agree. It was too fast. It didn't make any sense. That fight didn't make any sense. Fantasy Saber Duel Maul versus Star Killer. Yeah, that'd be great. Whoa. Listen, you can't like new things if you like old things. And if you like new things, you're wrong. But also, if you like old things, you're wrong. Facts. Ahsoka versus Balin was good. Fight for 2 people there instead of 1 person versus CG. Really good point. Really good point on that one. I've talked about you on the stream a number of times where I'm like, I know a guy who likes the fucking loves Acolyte, and I love the concepts you break down about it. I think the execution was terrible. Lightsabers at dawn. Like the fight scenes in Acolyte for sure. Yeah. The show itself rewrote the history and stretched belief for things, but I did enjoy it a bit. I'll give you that, Archer. Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, Star Wars fans, and it took me a while to get to this point. So in some aspects, I can't judge. But it gets old, man. Like, I'm like, it's been like 10 years. It's been like 10 years. And we're still on the same train of hating on Disney Star Wars. And I think the part that's exhausting is that Theory just discovered it. Like, he just discovered the rage bait fandom and his content. And now it's just like, I miss my old Star Wars Theory. I miss the old stuff. They say you miss the old Drake. Archer, don't tempt me. Yeah. Look, sometimes it's fun to enjoy things, LOL, but yes, no one hates Star Wars more than Star Wars fans. It's insane. Yeah. Yeah. And, I remember over the course of my adult life, I have hated lots of things. I've hated lots of Star Wars. And I remember when Rebels was out in real time, being like, Rebels sucks. Rebels is just kid garbage, whatever. I remember watching videos of people breaking down. I think Vito did a breakdown of like why Rebels was so lifeless compared to Clone Wars. And I watched it and I was like, yeah, man, you're right. And then I went back and watched it. instead of just watching somebody react to it and give me their take and their reasons why it sucks, I was like, let me just go, you know what? Let me just give the show a shot. Let me just watch it for myself and form an opinion. Is there a booger in my nose? I think there is. I'm going to pick a booger live on stream. Talks amongst yourselves. Let me get rid of this booger. Great. Oh. Maybe it's just a hair. Hang on. Let's use the phone. Figure this out together. Nope. Talks amongst yourselves. Better. Yeah, I was like, why don't I give the show a shot? I would go to Comic-Con, tons of people dressed up as characters from Rebels. I'd watch videos online, a lot of people talking about the characters from Rebels. I was like, let me give the show a shot and see, to steal an old person quote, see what's what. See what's what. I'm distracted by the freaking camera bugging out. And I liked it. I gave Rebels another chance and I liked it. And it's funny, the reasons why people hated Rebels and told me to hate Rebels, at times I was like, yeah, I hate Ezra. I really hate Ezra. But then I was like, that's kind of the point. Especially Sabine as well. We have two kids that have powers and abilities that others don't. For the record, Sabine was not force sensitive in Rebels. They added that in Ahsoka, and that annoyed the crap out of me. Because the entire show of Rebels was her learning how to be a Mandalorian and not have powers, but yet wield the Darksaber like other Mandalorians had before her. Anyway, the two of them go through this arc amongst the seasons of just like learning that they don't know everything and learning how to mature in a war. I mean, they were literally terrorists, which is probably going to get me banned on YouTube for saying the word, but that's what they were. It's called Rebels for a reason. They're out there doing these solo guerrilla missions, stealing supplies, stealing weapons, infiltrating bases, blowing bases up. Like, that's what they're doing. And these teenagers are thrown into this mix and having to learn how to do that, getting full of themselves and getting knocked down. And the fight scene with Vader versus Ezra and Kanan, ironically, I sent that to Matt this week. And I was like, this is one of my favorite fights because the characters show up and Vader's not even trying. He's like, oh, wow, you got a lightsaber? That's cool. Where'd you get that from? Boom. Here we go. Boom. Oh, God, you're back again. Boom. They have to drop a whole ATST on him to distract Vader enough so they can get away. It took all six of them. No, if I count Chopper, yeah, was it six of them? Chopper, Sabine, Ezra, Kanan, the gorilla dude, and Hera. It took six of them while receiving gunfire from stormtroopers to be like, we need to distract Vader for long enough for us to get away. Let's drop a whole freaking mech on this dude. And maybe we can get away. But if you're not looking at it from that perspective, and also considering the fact that we're really trying to get this towards kids and trying to slide in some things here and there to appease the older audience, if you don't look at it from all those angles, you're going to think it's a terrible show. But if you just sit there and watch it, just as a Star Wars fan, just like take it in, just turn it on. It ain't the worst. Rebels is not the worst. Rebels is not, what was the one that came and went? They were like on a base and they were doing racing in the air. They don't even talk about that show anymore. Resistance? It might be Resistance. No one ever tries to make a bad saber fight. They try and make it something the audience hasn't seen before, and it's entertaining as fans. We are looking at them in hindsight and trying to compare them. Trying to compare them to the older fights. Yeah, exactly. Oh. I hit the button by mistake, but might as well. Might as well. So yeah, let me know what you thought about that one. If you did have to make a top 10 fights, what would they be? And yeah. Star Wars fans, man. Star Wars fans be hating. Be hating. Before we go, let's take a look at some toy stuff real quick. And speaking of Star Wars, we had a couple Black Series figures drop this week for pre-order, and this Star Killer sold out fast. And it looks good. Price doesn't look good, but it looks good. And it's funny, some of you 3D printers like Dave and Tony maybe agree, maybe disagree. But I'm kind of the camp now where I'm like, oh, I want to buy that toy. But I could always just print out that helmet, print out the sabers, print out the handles, like I was like, maybe I'll just print out stuff versus like buying it. But I've been really impressed with Star Wars figures this calendar year so far. This is a great release. Again, the price point, tariffs be tariffs. People don't want to acknowledge that, but great figure, great callback, great accessories. I like it. I actually almost bought a Star Wars figure this week. I was at Target and the Vintage Collection Stranger figure was there. And it looked really good. I don't collect 3 3/4, but it looked really good. And I almost pulled the trigger on it, but $20 for a 3 3/4, I was like, too rich for my blood. But this one's sick. This one's sick. Great moment in the game. Damn, you sold out just as quick as SJ Figure Arts Ultraman Nexus. Pre-order on Big Bad Toy Store sold out as well. Yeah. They look good. I haven't tempted too much. The figures have been looking good, man. They've been looking good. Then we had this drop today. The classic-ish looking Ghost Rider figure. 55 bones. Again, they're pricing me out this year, but this one ends up in the warehouse sale. If Hasbro ends up doing another warehouse sale at some point, I will get this for sure. This is great. Great look. Great head sculpt. So, yeah. I don't think I've made a toy purchase this year. I don't think I've made a purchase this year. Oh, Crosshair's back in stock. 5s is in stock. Wow. Let's look at Black Series real quick. I haven't been perusing the site that much. I used to be able to tell you whenever stuff was back or gone, or I used to check daily at work. This was back when I worked at retail. I just have my iPad open every day and I check the same sites every day. I check GB Fans, check Hasbro, check Amazon, and then just scroll through all the different brands and lines and all that stuff. It was what a time to be alive. So nowadays, like I'm so behind on like what in real time is like back. That's been gone for a long time. But fives has been gone for a long time. 55 ain't bad. You have the figure and the bike. You know what it is? The original bike and Ghost Rider figure that came out 2 years ago, I want to say, that one was like 45 or 40. It was my figure of the year. So knowing that costs the price and then what this one cost, if I didn't have the other one, I'd buy this one. But considering that I have the other one and I know what I paid for it, or at least ballpark what I paid for it, I'm like, I could wait this one out just a little bit longer. Amazing Big Bad Toy Store ran up my credit card literally yesterday. I still got to open up this set. This is downstairs. I gotta do it. Clone Commander Rex. I remember during COVID, it was like good luck trying to get a Rex figure into your collection. It just was not happening. I got the helmet there. I remember I wanted to buy that in real time. Now I'm going to print it. Scorch. I remember wanting to get the whole commandos to do a photo. Maybe I do it this year. But yeah, he's in stock. Crosshair. I'll be that guy. I sold my Crosshair for a good piece of coin a couple years ago because he was gone. I sold Hunter for a good amount of money, and I sold Crosshair for a good amount of money. Wrecker was pretty easy to find for a long time. But yeah, Crosshair being back, that's good. I don't know if they'll do the Walmart exclusive Imperial Crosshair. Because again, that was Walmart exclusive. That was a cool figure as well. Although it was all just black. It was the same armor, just black. A little bit lazy on my end, my thought. Phase 2 Clone Trooper for 109. If that comes back in stock, that's a good pickup. And then, Matt, if you're here, Kyle Katarn's here. I forgot to tell you about that one. That one's still up for pre-order. Quinlan Voss, I would love it. If I was still collecting Black Series like I was in 2020, a lot of these would have been instant pickups. Instant. I like how they're showing off the toe joint on. Is this a new mold? This might be a new mold. It is a new mold. The same figure was a deluxe $35 figure in COVID times. This is a good one though. That's a really good Boba Fett. Especially getting toe articulation. You never get toe articulation with Black Series. That's really good. It's a great Vader. Temple Guard sold out. Makes sense. Those are good. Stranger sold out. I mean, look, here's the thing. Of all the examples I've given, I feel like this is the most egregious one. I've given the example multiple times about Star Wars YouTube tells you that nobody likes anything Disney. They will tell you that until they're blue in the face. But it's not what you know, it's what you can prove. Malgus in stock. Amazing figure. Starkiller in stock. The Stranger sold out. I don't know what else to tell you. Jango Fett in stock. Obi-Wan in stock. Anakin sold out. They be hating. Yeah, simpler times before the tariffs, yeah. Have I printed a figure yet? No. I am... If the teaser I got the other day is any inclination of a figure that's to come, I want that to be my first figure that I print. I won't spoil it. I was lucky to have gotten the Black Series Scorch at my local GameStop, and I did fix up my Delta Squad figure shoulder pads and knee pads, as well as giving them a wash and panel lining. Hasbro Black Series has had its ups and downs over the years, but the one consistent up, I would say, since like 2021 has been the Troopers. Specifically their commandos. Those commando figures are dope. They are dope. For sure. I remember there was a gummy leg stormtrooper at one point, and then they released a desert trooper, and I think that was like the new body. And since then, the troopers have been pretty solid. Stranger sold out because the mask was cool. Yeah. It's a cool character, man. Like, and I mean, you like the show, so I know you're biased, but everything about the Stranger was dope. I thought the reveal was kind of dumb. Hunter's in stock. Dude, I sold Hunter for like $50. And now you can get him for $25. Pre-tariff prices on Hunter. That's crazy. This figure leaves a lot to be desired, like not a cloth cape, kind of weird. This not having wires, pretty sucky, but overall, cool ass character. He's the modern day Kylo Ren. Great looking character, great concept, terrible execution. They even added dirt to the arms and stuff on this. Super dope. Looks great on the shelf. Has Hot Toys made a Stranger? I don't think so. But if they did, that would be a great figure. I mean, best believe they're working on that. Spelled the wrong, but it's fine. No, Stranger Things. It's fine. It's pretty good. That's really good. That's funny. If you haven't watched Star Trek, similar take. I just realized I wasn't screen sharing. Why didn't you guys tell me anything? Was I not screen sharing the whole Hasbro thing? Let me know. So similar to Star Wars, right? But different. Nobody hates Star Wars more than a Star Wars fan. Nobody hates Star Trek more than somebody who doesn't watch Star Trek. That is my take. So this is Ensign Boimler, and he's from the cartoon Lower Decks, and they did a Strange New Worlds crossover, and it was hilarious. Okay, cool. So I can't believe they made an actual figure of the live action version to go with the Strange New World line. That's pretty funny. And what's her name was there too. Mariner. And they rolled up the sleeves. That's great. Almost sold out. Everybody tells you how everybody hates Star Trek, everybody hates Lower Decks, and yet almost sold out. Okay. Sure. Let's go to Bandai USA. This mofo. Oh, this is not going to work. This guy here. My God. They're about to get me collecting freaking Dragon Ball Z figures again. This was the first Dragon Ball Z VHS I ever purchased. I remember the day, maybe not the specifics of the day, but I remember taking the bus, Fordham Road, go to the same jewelry store that sold anime VHS tapes, seeing this amongst all the Dragon Ball Z displays and being like, wait a minute, there's more than one Super Saiyan? Because at that point, all we had was the Dragon Ball Z series getting up to the point where Goku shows up on Namek and appears in front of was it Raccoon? No, not Raccoon. Was it Raccoon? Anyway, he shows up on Namek, and in the intro you see that he goes Super Saiyan, but you don't actually get to see him go Super Saiyan in the show because they didn't have all those episodes. So I knew of this Super Saiyan thing. I of course downloaded like a clip here and there that took forever on 56K just to freaking have a 10-second clip. So I knew Goku goes Super Saiyan to fight Frieza. But then the cover of this VHS, it was called like 3 legendary Super Saiyans, and it's Goku, Vegeta, Trunks, and this guy. And I was like, what the they fight Blanca from Street Fighter? Give me that DVD, that VHS. And then I'm like, Trunks, who's this kid? He's ever only in the intro. He's freaking Vegeta's son. Vegeta has a son. What? Mind blown. Mind blown. So this movie, special place in my heart. And for that reason, I think I need to get this figure. Maybe. Just maybe. Little pricey for what you get. But that's Tamashii Nations. That's just the name of the game. Have not been here in a while. Oh, they have a new Vegeta body? This one's called Dangerous Pride. Oh, that's new. That's cool. That's a new one. That's a new Vegeta figure. Never gets old. Never gets old. They have Krillin back up for pre-order. Krillin being $65 is diabolical. He has no business being that much money. But they know that you need him. So you price him that way. There's a new... Oh, I think I saw this one. New Piccolo body. I think it comes with a soft cape. Oh, no, it's still the hard plastic. Shame. Shame. What else? Yeah, Tamashii Nations, man, they really get you on the pricing. Their prices are just ridiculous. And that, that's what made me appreciate the Street Fighter line from Storm Arena so much. Because you're getting similar articulation, but to me, it's even better quality than a lot of the Tamashii Nation stuff. Where are you at? Yeah, this guy. I'm still waiting for him to arrive. I have him on pre-order. And for a fraction of the cost, So, yeah, I got this one on pre-order. When it arrives, it'll go into my pile of loot. And then I'll also be getting, which I pre-ordered with you guys, I believe, Batman. I have this Batman already purchased in my pile of loot. I feel like the sale price here is just so good. You can't beat 100 bones for a $220 figure. All these accessories. Yeah. But I forgot to mention it. Let's go look at soups real quick. Because we had this released this week, and yeah, looks good. Looks good. Now, the limited edition sold out. I don't know if they're going to show it on here. $250. So another $20. And you got the lowest figure, Mitzelplick, the Dr. Fate helmet, and the swoop cape. So, I mean, that one, I think I was the only one in the group that did not buy this one. But this one looked real good. But, you know, I didn't have Batman in hand. So if I had Batman in hand, had some experience with a Mondo figure, then maybe this would have occurred. Because, I mean, this is my Christopher Reeve's on another level, but this is my definitive Superman. And if I bought this one, I would never buy another Superman figure ever again. But since I don't have the Mondo Batman, don't have my experience with a Mondo figure, couldn't bring myself to do it. Couldn't do it. Dada Films with the win. Ask fans of anything, can we at least come together and agree that the live action Dragon Ball movie was the hottest of garbage? Hottest of all garbage of all time. So here you go. I will say that I cannot agree because I couldn't bring myself to watch it. Yep. Love some Dragon Ball Z. That page is so expensive. There are alone 3 pre-orders I got to put in. And this is the T-Week, Tamashi Week releases. The only things new here are Bardock, Fusion 13, and Zadora and Zarbon 2-pack. Yeah, it's a good figure. So in 30 minutes, yeah. Oh no, I think it was a couple hours. I think the guys were saying it was up for like 3 hours or 4 hours. This deluxe set. Alex Brewer keeps knocking it out of the park on Mondo. Yeah, they are doing some good stuff. Oh, this is still in stock. Well, the pre-order is the limited edition Two-Face there. It's just so good. I just feel like the Batman is an older body. So when I get the figure, you know, I may not even have the most up-to-date quality of a Mondo figure. But, you know, if it looks good in person, I could be talked into getting on the Mondo train. But it would be on a very limited basis. I mean, there's no way I can afford to have like a full collection of Mondo figures. But best believe I have a lot of these in my cart on Big Bad Toy Store. So if they do go on sale, it's going to happen. Where is the goat? I need the goat. Collectibles 1-6. Oh, they have an X-Men and X-Men 97 and X-Men animated series. 3 different categories. This motherfucker right here. Oof. Oof. Can we all agree that Cyclops is that word? That Future song? I'm that. That's Cyclops. This figure. This is hard. Yo, Cyclops is the worst, man. Cyclops is the coolest Boy Scout of all time. Cyclops is such a bitch, man. but he throws hands. He throws hands, no hesitation. Gotta do it the right way. That's not how we do things. The Cyclops would be mad MAGA. But Cyclops would be the MAGA guy that you're like, nah, but he's good though. He's cool. That'd be Cyclops. Superman Deluxe. Yeah. I thought it was 30 minutes. It's probably 3 hours. I mean, you could be right. I thought I saw, maybe it was in one of my group chats. Somebody was like, oh, it was like a couple hours that it was still up there. Winston is on the way. Good handful of figs about to hit the Facebook marketplace. Peak childhood nostalgia. Yeah. Can't wait to see the good Cyclops on film. Yeah, it's going to be so good. He's him. Cyclops is him. He is. But that's it. That's a wrap. This was a fun episode. You know, just to round out the Star Wars theory thing, I'm not an obsessed fan of Star Wars theory, right? But I think, especially in a post 2024 election, HeyArcher, I understand the power of an influencer, and I understand the power and responsibility you have as the biggest influencer in a space. And theory just, he just can't let shit go. He can't let it go. And they're never, this is what the Fandom Menace fans wanted for the longest time before they all left talking nerd stuff and started talking politics. They were all like, we just want Disney to hand over the keys to George. They all wanted just give it up. Just give it back. You want to. Hire George. You want to. And they got a lot of us, including myself, to believe that was a possibility. None of it's real. None of it's real. And sitting down and just making video after video after video about how Star Wars sucks or how Disney sucks, it's just, at this point, it's just old. It's 2026. It really is. Now, you want to make the list and talk about, all right, let's make a top 10 list together. Maybe it's boring because you're not hating on something, but try to put some positivity into the Star Wars community. Just try sometimes, because you know what, we got nothing else. And I sit here, every week I would say probably every week I watch at least one episode of Clone Wars, because it's a fun, good show. And you can't say that Disney can't make good Star Wars, because even the later season of Clone Wars were pretty good. And that final season, it had a lot of dumb shit in it, for sure. Like when Ahsoka meets those two sisters. Why are you wasting my time? But the Ahsoka Maul fight, the Ahsoka, witnessing Order 66 thing, that, like 5 episodes, some of the best Star Wars ever. Easy. Especially how they connected it to Revenge of the Sith, events happening in real time. So if you can't talk about the ups of Star Wars, you can only talk about the downs of Star Wars, then just don't talk about Star Wars anymore. You can see yourself out at this point. That's where we're at. So there you go. It's a wrap. I also vaguely remember Cyclops catching hands like nobody's business. Yeah. From Wolverine. R.I.P. to the voice actor of Cyclops. Man, I wish I could have met him. Really wish I could have. Check out, Gen X-Wing coming up soon. 20 minutes. They should be doing their show. Amazing show, Archer. Thank you. 100% agree. 1,000% agree. Yeah, I appreciate all of you guys. You guys, all of you make the show what it is. And like I said, I'm guilty. I can, if my friend John ever wants to come on the show, I used to talk Star Wars with him all the time at work. And he knows, man. I used to hate it with the best of them. And then eventually you take the visor off, you let your full power out, and you're like, oh, you know, it ain't that bad. It ain't that bad. So, Daily Planet, hopefully tomorrow. If not, the members will get theirs tomorrow. Power Ranger Power Sword video, I try to do it for tomorrow. It's not going to happen. Probably Saturday. Stay tuned for that. Hit the bell to get notified. Like, comment, subscribe. Talk to all you nerds in the next video. Peace. Camera struggling with the focus. We're out of here.
More specifically, vodka, whiskey, beer, tequila, more beer, more vodka, more whiskey, and more beer.
Yeah, come on, push a button. Push a goddamn button.
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass.